today it's following based on the first part that I actually share with you in regards to how to break free from toxic thought patterns that unfortunately most of the time control our life, control our destiny, control our purpose, control who we are. And I was sharing in my previous video, if you haven't actually watched it, I advise you to go and watch it, that I was mentioning that it is really important to really be aware of the kind of thoughts that we have in our mind. If we do not become the master of these thoughts, unfortunately, these thoughts are becoming the master of our own self. And this is actually the toxic thought that are ruining our life. And not paying attention to that, you will be always to the mercy of the things of this world. So I was mentioning in my first video that it's very paramount to really understand that you should be in control of the thought that you're actually having in your mind. And I was mentioning in the previous video that the thought that you have are not your thoughts, right? They are thought, unfortunately, that you create yourself through circumstances, through events, through like your emotion, the things that you are going through right now. But all these should not be on top of you. They should not be the thought that will actually control you, right? So in this next video, I will share with you basically the first step to start breaking this toxic thought pattern so you can actually start taking control of your mind. This way of taking control of your mind is actually a way of reprogramming your mind, basically. The Bible said, do not be conformed, to the pattern of this world, but be it transformed by the renewing of your mind, by the reprogramming of your mind. You can never experience freedom if you do not reprogram your mind. So it's very important to understand that the reprogramming that needs to happen in your mind will be the spiritual awakening that will actually happen, for you and through you. So the first step, and again, like I mentioned in my previous video, if you have a notebook, if you have a pen, it's time for you actually to take note, because I'm telling you, this is the information that I share with my clients in regards to how can you level up spiritually so you can actually start to become the person that the God has called you to be, right? So let's dive in. So this is step one. So step one is identification. So what is identification? So you can't change what you are not aware of, okay? So this identification step is actually fundamental. Why? Because when you start identifying yourself, what's kept you tied to the past, you begin the process of healing and transformation, right? So everything starts with awareness. You don't know what you don't know. If you don't know who you're supposed to be, you will never be this person, right? It makes sense. If you don't know that you're supposed to be, I don't know, a successful business entrepreneur, if you don't know that you're supposed actually to make this X amount of money every single month, that you are capable, that you have the potential, you will never become this person, right? Because you don't have the awareness. So everything starts with awareness. If your level of awareness of who you are is very low, you will never become the person that you're actually supposed to be. God knows, because He is the creator and you are the creation. But on the contrary, you don't know because you don't have the awareness. So everything starts with awareness, right? You have to be aware. So your thoughts are the root cause of your feeling, and your feelings shape your character. Your character then determine the kind of life you will live. Okay. So in regards to awareness, awareness is a mix of everything. It's a mix of basically, awareness is your consciousness, basically, right? It's your consciousness is your subconscious and your conscience all together. Both of them create your consciousness. But your consciousness basically is a form, shape, designed by the thought that you have of yourself, right? And the thoughts are the root cause of your feeling. If, for example, you have the thought of being, like of not succeeding you feel like you actually like you think that you are not worthy of having a good life, for example. So that is the thought that you have in your mind, right? And this thought will birth a feeling of sadness, a feeling of disappointment, a feeling of not being enough, right? So the thoughts are the root cause of your feeling, and your feelings shape your character. The more you feel, the more you have a feeling about something, the more you have a certain feeling, for your mind, right? You will become this person. If you always feel that you are not enough, you will actually become this person that is not enough. If you always feel sad, depressed, if you still feel like, like you are missing out of life all the time. You always see people succeeding, but you just wonder, but why not me? Well, this kind of feeling are shaping your character. They are shaping the person that you are becoming, right? Progressively, unconsciously or consciously. And the most part is unconsciously because we don't even think that by having this feeling over and over and over again, we are shaping ourselves, we are shaping our character. And this character determines the kind of life we are living. I always say, if you are not aware of the person that you are, you will not be aware of the kind of life that you're actually designing, right? Because as within, as with that. So if your within is always, full of feeling of sadness, of not feeling like you are enough, of not actually like thinking that, you can succeed in whatsoever, you will shape you will externalize these kind of feelings in your world. The world will be like, okay, you have this kind of feeling, so let me actually illustrate what you actually feel within. Your character design your life, right? Design your life. That's why you have to be extremely, extremely careful about the thought, about the feeling that you're actually processing, because these thoughts and feeling are determining your character. So if you consistently have joyful thought, though, you will feel joyful, and in turn, you will live, sorry, a joyful life, right? So as within, as without, if you have, always like if you have a thought of, of hope, of joy, of faith, if you are always like, everything works for my own good, if you feel this way, if you think this way, your world will actually mirror your inner thoughts, your inner feeling. Your world is the mirror. Okay. So when you actually now process within yourself this kind of thought, joyful, thoughtful thought, that's great, because now the universe can actually mirror this kind of thought that you are within, right? When we usually like have like thought of depression, of feeling unworthy, feeling like sad, feeling like, the world is not working my way. You just, one event after the other, you will notice that there's another event that is happening in your life that break you down, and then another event is coming. Is because you are manifesting this event unconsciously or consciously, and most of the time is unconsciously. So that's why you have to be extremely careful in regards to the thought that you have within, right? If your thoughts are rooted in fear, for example, you will constantly live in a state of fear and create a reality of uncertainty. Same thing, right? These principles are biblical principles that you can find throughout the Bible. They are everywhere, okay? We saw that with Job, we saw that with Abraham, we saw that with Sarah, we saw that with Peter, we saw that through, the Old and the New Testament, right? When you have this feeling and this thought both together, this charged thought backed up by feelings, these thoughts and feelings will create your reality, right? So that's why it's very important to really be careful of the kind of thought you have within yourself. Okay. Don't be the one who are under control. Be the one who are in control of your thoughts and feeling. That's why, this teaching that I'm sharing now is about how to break free from this toxic thought pattern that are governing your mind, right? The ultimate goal of life is to be on top of everything, meaning that you have to have what? Dominion to subdue your mind. The Bible says you have to have dominion and subdue. It doesn't talk about subduing the earth. The earth is your mind, is your world, basically, right? When you are in a position of actually be in control of this food and this feeling, you are basically the one in charge. You are the one in command, right? So thought trigger emotion, and this emotion determine whether you are manifesting from the right source or from the wrong source, right? So the Bible talk a lot about righteousness, right? And I think so many people are confused about what is really righteousness. Righteousness, it means right standing, but it means also right alignment, thinking righteously. So if you do not think righteously, obviously you think from the wrong source, right? The right source is the divine source is God, but the wrong source is the source of confusion and destruction, right? The source where you are under control, okay? So it's very important to think and to, I will say, express emotion, sorry, from the right source, which actually represent the divine source, who is God. That's why we have to be righteous. Righteousness is actually thinking from the right place, right? But before you can actually think from the right source, we have been predestinated to actually, like, first of all, think from the wrong source. Because you have to remember, this is what I share in my first video that I share, is like God wants to make sure that, first of all, you will experience, darkness, right? Before you can experience light. You can't experience light if you never experience darkness in your life. You have to actually experience one before you can actually experience the sweetness of God. So darkness is when you actually are in a place of confusion, destruction, ignorance, in a place of not knowing who you are, in a place of not knowing your purpose, your destiny. You are now operating from the control of, the spiritual control of the spirit. The Ephesians, book of Ephesians says the spirit of the air. The spirit of the air is Satan. It is actually the evil force, right? That's why you need to take the upper hand, from this evil force and be in control from thinking from the right source. Being righteous means to be aligned with the image of God. When you misalign, it means that now you're operating from the wrong source. So this is very important to understand, because I know the church will tell you otherwise, that, like, if you are saved, you are righteous. That's nothing to do. Being saved means that you are actually saved through the power of Christ, and Christ is your consciousness, right? But I'm here to tell you that your salvation and your redemption is actually based on the level of imagination that you have, and your imagination is Christ. But I'm not going to actually share that here with you. I'm just going to focus on how to break your toxic thought pattern. Okay, so the thinking from the right source is very paramount, because that will enable you to design your own world, right? That will enable you to become the person that God wants you to be. So, thoughts and emotion are the two primary forces within your mind that shape your identity, like I said, right? They operate hand in hand, right? They are, so when I say thought is very charged thought, right? Backed up by emotion, because you can basically, like, think that, okay, you are not feeling right. You are not feeling worthy of anything. But if you do not back up with emotion, these thought remain a thought, and they don't really, like, express themselves in your outside world. They just remain a thought. But when you have emotion, back up with back up your thought. This is when the danger, especially if your thought or emotion are not aligned with God's image, this is when you are actually in danger, because now you're going to externalize this thought and emotion in your outside world, right? Again, I mentioned earlier that your outside world is a reflection. Glory means reflection of what you are thinking and what you are processing in regards to your emotion. So now, if you do not have the right emotion, when I say right, is actually like align with God's image. If you are processing thought and emotion based on fear, of worry, of ignorance, of not feeling that you are enough, of worries, of doubts, we have to remember that God is not a God of doubts, of worry or fear. He's a bold God. He's a God who is actually a God of intention, of purpose, of joy, of love, of, of uncertainty. But when you actually now express all these things, right? You are now unfortunately create your own world. And sometimes we like, but why? I'm actually doing all these things. I pray, I meditate, I go to church, I read my Bible, I do all these things, right? But somehow it seems like my life is going nowhere, like I'm not actually like seeing any joy, to be honest. I don't even feel fulfilled, to be honest. And the main goal of life is to be fulfilled, is to live a life of purpose. But people think that by doing things, we are becoming. No, you are becoming by being, right? You are never in a place of becoming the image of God by doing something. Absolutely not. God didn't actually ask us to do, He asked us to be. That's why we are human being and not human doing. Okay. So thought and emotion operate together and they operate hand in hand, right? And that is very important to understand. So, in order to start manifesting from God, the source and the creator of life, you actually must begin cultivating right thought, which leads to right emotion, which will turn actually to build a character aligned with your divine nature. Okay. God actually asks us to actually basically become God ourselves, right? He created us after his own image and likeness, right? His own character. So now misalignment starts to actually express itself when we do not resemble God's character at all, right? So that is very important to understand. So I'm giving you some foundation here because when you want to break your thought pattern, you have to have a bit of background on why actually like can I not break this toxic thought pattern? Why, like I'm always like doing the things that I don't want to do. Why, like I'm always like revisiting things that do not serve me, but instead control me, destroy me. Why? You have to actually understand why these things are happening over and over again. Because we, like I mentioned in my previous video, consciously or unconsciously, we are always repeating the same pattern. Like I mentioned, the Bible is a book of patterns, especially the Old Testament, because first of all, the consciousness, who is Jesus, was not yet there, but because, things were constantly repeating itself. Like we saw in the Bible, like there's always a woman that is barren, right? If it was Rachel, it was Rebecca, it was Sarah. There is always a pattern of things that constantly happen and happen and happen. There was always two sons, right? Like the first one and the second one, Jacob and Esau, right? Manasseh and Ephraim. We saw also the pattern of faith also through the Bible, like constantly happening over and over and over again. We saw, like I said, the brothers Cain and Abel, and we always see like the younger serving the older, right? So it is always a pattern. The reason why is because in the Old Testament is basically your old way of thinking until Jesus came as your new level of consciousness, and now you are awakened. If you pay attention in the Old Testament, everybody is still in a place of sleepiness, right? Until Jesus came in the New Testament and things, everybody started to awaken, right? But before that, everybody was in a state of sleepiness, in darkness, right? Even though we had prophets, even though, we have judges, even though we have kings, but all these characters, all these state of consciousness, because all the characters in the Bible, in the Old Testament and even in the New Testament represent state of consciousness, right? But anyway, I'm gonna probably like do something much more in depth in regards to the Bible, to give much more understanding and knowledge based on the divine revelation that I receive about what all these characters represent in the Bible. And that's a good segue because I am launching my community called Tila, so Turn Your Life Around, really soon. So join the wait list. The link is in my bio or under the video. And join the waitlist to actually access this community for now. It will be launched the 1st of December officially. I'm very excited about it. But yeah, Tila is a community especially for female. So yes, it's just for female. It's for queens, basically, who want to take over their kingdom, who actually wants to find divine purpose and receive revelation about their true identity. So if you are basically in a situation where you actually want to really receive revelation about your true identity, your purpose, what you're supposed to do in this life, what God has called you to be, this community is for you. So the link is in my bio. It's also under this video. You would see it's a link that would direct you straight away to a questionnaire for you to actually add your contact details. So then I can send you an email to let you know when the community will be open. So that's gonna be on the 1st of December. Okay, so to do this, you must detach. So in regards to your thought and emotion, how can I basically like now stop reproducing, or I will say repeat the same pattern over and over again? So let's say, for example, let's take this example of like um you want to let's say you want to be let's say you want to how can I say you want to actually like that's it. You want to actually like find your purpose, for example, right? You think that you found your purpose by launching a business, right? And you are like so excited about it. So you actually like start doing everything in regards to launching the business, like you have the idea, you have your target audience in mind, you have you creating your website, all these things, right? So you are starting to launch your business, right? Because you think that, okay, this is a God's idea. I really want to launch my business. Let's go. But now, okay, when you are about to launch your business, after the excitement come the doubt. You're like, you know what? I don't really think that is actually a good idea. I don't think this is God's calling. I don't think I'm actually worthy to be a business entrepreneur, to be a business owner, to be an entrepreneur. I don't even think that I have the capabilities, and abilities. I don't think I have the knowledge, understanding. So you kind of start to kind of second guessing yourself, right? So now you are creating these thoughts back up with emotion, because now it makes you feel worries, it makes you feel you feel doubts, you have doubtful thoughts, and you are like, I don't think this business is actually like it's gonna work. Who am I to think I can be an entrepreneur? Yes, I can see people succeeding, but I never studied business in the first place. And I don't think, anyone would be interested, right? So you will start to create these thoughts, right? You start to create these thoughts, and these thoughts are backed up by emotion, doubt, worry, not feeling that you are worthy, all these things, right? So now you are what? Creating these thoughts that will express themselves externally. So the universe will be like, the universe will catch up on this thought and emotion and be like, okay, but I will show you that what you're actually thinking about yourself and about your business is true. So I'm gonna tell, even if you launch the business, I will see you that you will not have any customer. Like your business will fail in one way or the other. You will not actually find the right business partner. Things will not work out. All that. So all this will materialize themselves. All these thoughts and emotion will materialize themselves in your world because of your thinking and your emotion. So to detach yourself from the emotion that you are currently having, either through your situation right now. So it can be through people. People will also come to you and say, well, I don't think this is the time to launch a business. You see, the economy is really bad. You should find security in finding a job, because at the end of the day, you have bills to pay. And we know that businesses do not last anyway. After 1 year, 2 years, out of 10 businesses, maybe just one survive. So the statistics are actually not looking great. So now you have people coming your way also like adding on top of your doubt and your worries, and you do not launch anything, right? So you have now this doubt, not on, and you have the confirmation from people that comes to you confirming that that is not actually going to happen. It's not going to be successful to you. It's not going to do great. So you have this thought and these doubts within and without coming from people and situation that trigger negative thought and feeling because those are what keep you manifesting from the wrong source. Again, we are back again from manifesting things from the wrong and the right source. But in this case, is from the wrong source because, like I mentioned, God is not a God of doubt, no worries, no fear, right? He didn't give us the spirit of fear, the Bible say. So now, instead of being bold in your action, instead of like, you know what, it does not matter what, like people say, I have to make sure that I know the God that lives within me. And I know that God wants me to create what? The impossible, because I'm creating the impossible through him. But instead of having this kind of thought that will edify you and energize you, you are now doubting yourself. And this is when, unfortunately, you are now creating your thought pattern. You are now creating the toxic thought pattern without even you noticing that you are creating your own world, your own reality. Okay. So it's very important to understand that your thought pattern, you are the designer of them. We think that this external force, make us think this way, bro, is your mind, is you. It's you, right? It's only you. You are responsible of this. You are responsible of always creating this pattern, this cycle of toxic thought, right? There is no external force. We think, oh, but my mom actually like always said that I am not enough. My dad never believed in me. My neighbor think that, I'm better off being in a job than actually like being an entrepreneur. My boss is saying like, you know what? No, I don't think you should actually create a business. At the end of the day, you have a good job here with a good salary, right? So we think that is all these people, but no, you actually manifest this kind of reaction from these people in your life. You manifested them. So now what you need to do ASAP is to reprogram your mind, is to renew your mind. And that is the ultimate goal of life. The reason why, the Bible says we should renew our mind is because the mind that we're operating from is currently contaminated by the things of this world, right? The pattern of this world contaminated our mind. That's why we need a new mind. And the Bible called it the mind of Christ. The new mind is the mind that you need to operating from. So then you can start to design your real and true reality, right? So I want for you to first, for this first week, because it's a 4 weeks challenge, okay? For this first week, we need, first of all, and this is extremely important, we need to start scanning the kind of thought that we have, okay? We can't jump straight away from, oh, you know what, I'm not worthy, I'm doubtful, I'm not enough, I'm all this thing, this mind has been so ingrained in our mind for so long that to remove them, to uproot them, right? We need first of all to actually start to analyze them. We can't move from, okay, you know what, I'm actually unworthy, and now I'm feeling like, I can do everything, right? Before you know it, even if you start doing it, trust and believe that you will go back to where you come from straight away. You think that you can jump from I don't feel like I'm worthy enough to I can actually do all things for Christ who strengthened me. Trust and believe that this will not last. That's why these 4 weeks challenge are so beneficial for you because that will enable you to actually progressively and consciously and wisely now reprogram your mind. Okay. So the first thing that we need to do in this first week is for the next 7 days. Now, today's Sunday, you can start tomorrow. Oh, you can even start today. Let's not even wait for tomorrow to come. Let's start today. If you really want to start to actually like working on your mind right now and start to actually like see results, start basically ASAP. But for the next 7 days, be diligent in what I'm about to actually share with you. Start analyzing your thought. This exercise is called the scanning of the mind, the scanning of the thought. Okay. You can't basically measure progress if you do not measure yourself, if you do not measure your progress itself, right? You can't actually like, like make progress and measure this progress if you do not start with scanning what is currently happening right now. We need to understand the existence. What are my thoughts? What kind of thoughts am I having on a daily basis? Right? Like, is it the thoughts that, edify me? Or is the thoughts that unfortunately like do not serve me and crumble me? Like what kind of food that I have on a daily basis? We measure things in our life. We measure how much money we make in a month, how much money we make in a week, how much, how many exercise we have done in a during our workout session, how many grams do we actually eat on a daily basis, how many calories, sorry, do we actually eat on a daily basis if you actually measure your calories. We measure all these things, these external things, but we miss to actually measure things internally. And this is very important because remember, as within, as without. So take a moment to actually now pause and like, you know what? I need to actually analyze my thought because my thoughts create my reality. So if I do not scan my thought, I will continue to repeat the same pattern over and over again. So this is the exercise for this week. Take a notebook or piece of paper with you everywhere you go for the next 7 days. Take a notebook or a piece of paper, ideally a notebook, so then you can always come back to that. And for the next 7 days, you will write down basically your thought, right? So how do you do that? Obviously, like for example, if you first of all, even before you do anything during the day, like when we wake up, usually we have a thought. Either you're like, oh my God, another day to go to work, another day, I don't want to go to work. These thoughts are already your first thought. And guess what? These thoughts are actually the same thought that you have every single morning without you knowing. They are always the same food. The food that you have when you brush your teeth, the food you have when you have in the shower, the food you have when you make yourself a breakfast, the food you have when you have lunch. Trust and believe you always have the same thought. 90% of the time, unless there is a major event that happened in your day, during your day or during your week or during your month, most of the time they are the same thought, but we don't even think that we're actually processing the same thought. So it's very because we didn't because we never took the time to analyze the thought. But the first thing that I recommend you to do during this first week is to take a notebook or a piece of paper, and for the next 7 days to monitor and record your thought and the emotion that arise from them. Okay, you can't make adjustment if you do not measure, whatever you want to measure, right? So it's very important. So you can use, I have this daily thought tracker that I can share with you. It will be below the video to track them, right? This is very simple. You should not, don't complicate yourself. Don't make it complicated. Things are very simple in the spirit, right? It's only the world that make it very complicated and complex. But it's very simple. Just analyze your thoughts. What are the thoughts that I have first thing in the morning when I wake up? And trust and believe that your thought in the morning will determine your day. So this is very important. The first things that you need to do, have your notebook next to your bed and a pen or pencil, whatever, and just write down, oh, I wake up this morning and I felt miserable. Or I wake up this morning and I couldn't wait to get out of bed and start my day and go to work or start on my working on my business or start talking with my clients, like what are the thoughts? So the first thing you need to do is like, okay, I have these thoughts. I'm going to put them in my diary. I'm going to put them in my tracker. And during the 7 next day that will follow, you will have to track these thoughts. And don't try to adjust the thought. Don't like, oh, now that I'm recording or scanning my thoughts, I need to move from gloomy thought to like, jolly thought. No, 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 no. Just like as you are living your life, we are not faking it. We have to remember that uh it's all about being true true to yourself, but also to be honest to yourself. No one will actually read this tracker. It's all for you, right? So don't try to make it fake and be like, you know what, when I wake up, I'm always have a smile on my face, because we know we don't always have a smile on my face, and we all don't always look forward for the day to be amazing. No, there's things that happen in our life, and yeah, sometimes we don't feel okay, and that's absolutely fine, because it's life. But that's why it's very important to be truly honest with yourself. You wake up this morning, you didn't feel like waking up, you didn't feel like, like even living another day, like some people don't even want to be there anymore, right? And the reason being is because unfortunately they have been controlled by the things that are happening in their mind, right? So scan these thoughts. I have the link of this tracker below this video. Track them on a daily basis. It can be for I say 7 day, but it can be for a month. But start with 7 day, because we start with small habits, and we don't want to, make things complicated for ourselves, because we are always also busy. But I will say, make the time to do that. Make this a priority. This is, I call it, yeah, like we brush, I mean, I believe you brush your teeth every day. I brush my teeth every single day. I have a shower every single day. This is all part of the hygiene. But we also have to have the habit of having or installing in our daily basis life hygiene in regards to our mental and spiritual. I call it the spiritual and mental hygiene, that you have to cultivate, right? We do that with our body, with our mouth, with our face. We clean our face every single day. We have to clean our mind every single day of the things that do not serve us. We need to start installing this kind of habit or reinforcing this habit in our life. Okay. So start basically to track these foods on a daily basis. Okay, you can use the tracker that I will provide to you below this video, or you can use, like a piece of paper, a notebook, whatever, as long as you put them down on paper. Like for example, and I actually like use a simple table to log. So the thought, the corresponding feeling, and whatever it was positive or negative. Very simple. What kind of thought? What kind of feeling do you that this thought make you that this thought basically birth into you? What kind of feeling? And was it a positive or negative thought? And this can happen, it's not necessarily just morning, afternoon, and evening. For example, like you have a first thought when you wake up, and then you have another thought at 11 a.m., and then you have another thought at 12. You have another thought, sorry, at 2 p.m., and another thought at 4, and another thought at 8. Well, you may think that it's a lot, but it is your life. It is your life. So take your life seriously, and the life will take you seriously. Simple. Okay? Very, very simple. So I'm going to stop here because it's already a long video. Um, yes, I will stop here for now. But take really seriously what I'm actually telling you right now. Use a simple table, and this tracker is a simple table to record your thoughts, right? You can't adjust what you can't measure, what you do not measure. So the thought that you have, the feelings backed by these thoughts, and if this thought was or these feelings were positive or negative, simple, okay? And don't try to change them yet. Just scan them. And I will tell you in the next video how to basically use this data, because it's data, to basically reprogram your algorithm, because it's exactly the same thing as social media. Our mind is an algorithm, and your algorithm will serve you whatever you think about. Social media, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all these platform has an algorithm, and this algorithm serve us, or give us some videos based on what we've been watching. But it's exactly the same thing with the mind, right? The mind, because we've spent so much time and focus and attention on the thought, on the feeling, then our universe will serve us basically what the algorithm has been basically focused on for so long. It's exactly the same thing. Now we are reprogramming the algorithm because what the algorithm is serving us do not serve us but control us, right? And unfortunately, um, can be destructive also and remain us in a place that we don't want to be. We no longer want to be in this place. So the first week is all this. It's just about scanning your thoughts for the next 7 days. Do it diligently, consistently, and just do it 7 days. Let me tell you, this is just the beginning. And then we will use the data that you collected during the past 7 days, sorry, after 7 days, and how to basically now use this data and turning to our own advantage, right? How to collect this data and then work with this data so then we can actually create the right algorithm, create the right inner thought, create the right feeling so then we can start to attract, manifest, receive better from the universe. And when I say the universe, is basically is your own world, right? You create your own world. The revelation talk about a new heaven, a new earth is your own world. Okay. So let's start with that, and I will show you in the next video how to use this data and how to make things happen really quickly, really, really quickly. It's not rocket science, but you should not overlook things that are simple, right? Do not overlook things that are simple. They are simple because God's make it simple, and unfortunately, the words make it complicated and complex because the world wants to confuse you. That's all. The world wants to confuse you, but we are not in the world of confusion. We are in the world, but not of it. Okay. Until the time will come when we'll design our own world and make things easier for us, right? Effortlessly. All right. I see you in the next video. Bye.